step-by-step SEO training course for 2024. How to SEO URL structure. URL is short for Uniform Resource Locator. It is the way computers, as in on internet, user agents, which are web crawlers, identify the location of web documents. Now, when we think of search engine optimization of a URL, we need to pass the point of just including some keywords in the URL portion, but rather understand how Google works at a basic level and understand the importance of providing better user experience. Because search engine optimization is basically website optimization. Now, to demonstrate the point, let's imagine someone searches Google. Google brings out some results. And let's imagine someone clicks on it and visits a web page, as in a web document. Before the first interaction happens, as in before the person reads through the web document, before they look at the images or any other content, let's imagine that person looks at the URL portion in the address bar. I'll zoom in and take a look at it. Now, what I'm trying to suggest to you is, before interacting with the web page content, by just looking at this URL portion here, can you understand what this URL content is about? Obviously, it seems like it's a category, and that category is about Google Search Console. Now, that's critical to grasp, because when we understand that, then when we create the content, we create content that is helpful, reliable, people-first content. And understanding what you're learning now is actually part of Google guidelines, because when we include important keywords in a meaningful way without repeating them for our web pages in the URL portion, then that solves the search engine optimization side of the Uniform Resource Locator. Now, since you're learning with RankYa, let me now share with you even greater insights so that you can rank any keyword in Google. Now, for us to be able to do that, let me now show you this image here. Let's open up the image in a new tab. And now let's look at the address bar. In terms of achieving top Google rankings, that's also a URL. Because that is the URL, as in it's the address of a resource. That means when you target keywords on your web pages, whether it's a local business website, whether it's an e-commerce site, you do not just place keywords in the URL only, but rather ask yourself what it is that you're targeting, as in what keywords you're targeting on that web document. And thus, every other content you place, the URLs should naturally include those important keywords. If it's an image file name, the URL of it is this in this example. And if the image is related to the subject matter, then surely we can include our important keywords. Now, as I've said, since you're learning with RankYa, let's pass the point of SEO guru. insights. And I'm going to press on Ctrl U on my keyboard to bring out the source code and tell you this fact about Google rankings. And that is, Google looks at the entire web document, which is your HTML document. Let's take a look at a typical WordPress theme. Let's say themes, how to. Let's imagine this particular URL here. That's a JavaScript. But if you take a look at it, I'll zoom in because it'll make sense to you now. It's somehow to do with themes. I named my theme as how to because there's a lot of how to tutorials on RankYa. And it's assets. JavaScript is an asset. And that's the file name .js. That's a JavaScript file, but that's also URL. That means whenever you have the opportunity to include your important keywords on your website and landing pages, whether it's the folder structure, whether it is naming of your image files, whether it's naming of your JavaScript files, it doesn't matter. Because you know Google analyzes everything. Surely you're not going to be able to rank, this JavaScript file if you were to use keywords only. But what I'm trying to tell you is you optimize the landing page for your root keywords and the keywords that you stem from those root keywords. As in, everything works together to reinforce keyword meaning for Google. So now let's take a look at this here. Once again, I'll zoom in so that you see. One word, let's call that a root keyword. If it's two words, let's call that root keyword 1, root keyword 2, and so on, okay? Everything you can stem from these keywords are ideal to target. That means, let's imagine you want to optimize a folder structure. Perhaps you can include your root keywords in the folder name. Okay? And then let's imagine you can stem keywords, as in branch different keywords. Okay, let me show you this scenario. Let's say SEO training course. That's 3 words there, right? Let's imagine SEO training course for beginners. So that's 4 words now, right? In this example, that one keyword, SEO, would be my root keyword. And now I can stem different ones. SEO training, SEO courses, and so on, okay? Now, does that mean you just only target your root keyword, just 1 or 2? No. What's important to understand is, as your website grows, and as your content grows, then you can target more and more and more different keywords. Now, for this training course, I've actually created brand new illustration files. So let's go and see. Let's imagine a typical website. It's going to have different file types, perhaps images, PDFs, perhaps even videos, text content, and so on. Now, let's imagine a URL structure. When you optimize a URL, you don't just optimize the page name itself. You can use keywords in the folder names logically. You can use keywords in file names of different file types as well. Let's imagine you're a local business offering services. You can structure your URL in such way that, in this example, let's imagine services. But by itself, it doesn't really mean anything. Services for what? Is it gardening services? Is it driving school services? But then when we say web development services, that's meaningful, correct? But in this example, one could have created a parent page, services, and then branch out different URLs. But when you do that, then you can actually use the keywords again without spamming, because that makes perfect sense. Web development. Is it web development training? Well, it's within services URL, right? So then web development services make sense. So now it would be easier for me to rank for web development services. Okay? Rewind this video for a minute or two, because what I'm sharing with you is how you search engine optimize URLs. In this second example, we've got products. Now, most e-commerce sites follow that approach, but that's actually not smart. Well, if it's an e-commerce, when someone lands on it, they know it's an e-commerce site because you showcase your products, right? Well, if that's the case, let's imagine you're selling leather belts. Then instead of products in the URL, one could perhaps include belts and then branch out different words accordingly. That's more search engine optimized than this example here. That's more search engine optimized than this here. Now, well, only in rare cases this is actually okay to do so. At the end of the day, what we need to understand is improving user experience. And when we include keywords according to the content on a web document, whenever you include certain files, now you know what URL optimization is about. Because only when you understand what I've just said, then your Google rankings is closer. Because in this training course, when I teach you everything else, then there is no one on planet Earth who can outrank you for your industry keywords. I thank you for learning with RankYa, and before I close up, please be aware that it takes time, energy, effort on my part to share with you proven, expert insights. So therefore, I kindly ask you to share the link to these videos and courses with anyone you know who owns a website. Once again, I thank you for learning with RankYa, and I'll talk with you in the next video session.